In this video, we're going to be breaking down the Gold Coast, one of Australia's major capital markets, with over 700,000 people now living in that region. The purpose of this video is to unpack 7 suburbs to look at buying on the Gold Coast right now based on value for money. Amongst these 7 suburbs, we're going to unpack 4 different categories, starting with the affordable price points. Then we're going to be moving up to the mid-tier growth suburbs. Then we're moving into the lifestyle hotspots, and then the high-end prestige suburbs. So there's going to be a range from more affordable up to high-end homes, so everyone at different price points can see what suburbs might suit yourself if you're looking to buy your own home or an investment property in these Gold Coast locations. Now, myself and the team at Purpose Property cover the Gold Coast region. So if you are looking for help in these areas, head over to purposeproperty.com.au to book in a free chat with myself. Before we dive into the suburb specific information, let's take a look at the median sale prices on the Gold Coast over the last 4 to 5 years. As you can see, prices of detached and attached dwellings have significantly grown. But you can see the trend here is that detached dwellings have grown further than attached dwellings. And all that means is freestanding houses, which are detached dwellings, have had a higher growth rate than attached dwellings, but both have grown. Now, in normal English, this just means that house prices have outpaced unit prices on the Gold Coast market, but there's still opportunity in both segments for price growth. And based on the data you can see on screen here, prices have grown from that 550 to 750,000 up towards the 1.2 million and $800,000 mark for houses and units respectively. So if you are looking at houses, you can expect the average house to be around that 1.2 or the median house to be around $1.2 million. And if you are looking at the median apartment, you're paying closer to $800,000 at this point in time. So with all that being said, let's break down these different price points from affordable to prestige. As you can see on screen here, we've got those 4 different price points. Your affordable entrants are that $700,000 to $900,000 market. Then we've got the mid-tier players from $900K to $1.5 million. Then we're moving into the more prestige or lifestyle spots at 1.5 to $2 million. And then your higher end homes are $2 million plus on the Gold Coast. So what are the affordable entrants in the Gold Coast region? Firstly, we've got Upper Coomera with a median house price of $967,000 and median rent of $770 per week, with growth sitting at 10.5% over the last 12 months. This is a family-friendly area which you can break into on the northern side of the Gold Coast. You have access to local schools and shops and pubs, and still a short drive to the beachside locations, but you're nowhere near the water compared to some of the other suburbs we're going to cover on this list. But it is in the Gold Coast region and has some good price potential, given that the area has been largely established over the last 20 years. And this is in keeping with the next suburb on our list, which is Pimpama. Now, the median price in Pimpama currently sits at $860,000 with median rent of $700 per week and a growth rate of 11.7% over the last 12 months. Again, very similar to Upper Coomera, these areas are on the northern side of the Gold Coast, located closer to the highway. One of the things to consider is these areas were built around 20 years ago. They were new housing estates. And so 15, 20 years ago, a lot of spruikers were selling these locations. But now what's happening is these markets are becoming more established. There's less land supply surrounding them, and the land supply is coming further north than these 2 suburbs at this point in time. So there will be new housing developments nearby, but there's not as much oncoming land supply as there was 10 to 15 to 20 years ago. So if you're looking for a more affordable entrant on the northern side of the Gold Coast, around that $800 to $1 million price point, you could look to break into these locations and buy a freestanding house. This leads into our mid-tier plays. So these are the next level up over that $1 million price range. So on this list, we've got Southport. It's actually not too far away from Pimpama and Upper Coomera, but a lot closer to the beach, with a median price at the moment of $1.14 million and rent of $800 per week, and again, growth sitting around that 10.7% over the last 12 months. One of the interesting things about Southport is you're seeing that median rent not keep up with property prices. So what we're getting if you're paying 1.1 to 1.2, $1.3 million is yield compression. And what that means is those houses in Pimpama and Upper Coomera tend to have better yields, 4 to 4.5%. But as we move into Southport at a higher price point, we are getting yield compression take place. We are only getting similar rental yield, but you're paying an extra $100,000, $200,000, $300,000 for the property because you're paying for the land value. And so you're going to get that 3 to 3.5% gross yield on properties in this location as an example. The other option we've got here is Labrador, not far away as well. Again, Northern Gold Coast end at $1.15 million, $785 per week, and a growth rate of 5.5% over the last 12 months. A suburb that you could pick up a gem in. You've got to be careful about where you buy, what you buy, looking at flood overlays, looking at density impacts, all those things. But as we said earlier, those freestanding houses have tended to outperform the last 5 years, and my personal expectation is that houses will generally continue to outperform because the Gold Coast market will continue to have high-rise development take place. So if you do control the land and you do get a freestanding house, that's going to give you control of the underlying land component. So these are some good options if you're looking around that 1 to 1.3 million for those mid-tier price property plays. Now we are moving into these lifestyle locations. And I think personally, this is a sweet spot if you're an owner-occupier or you're a more blue chip style investor that really wants to focus on quality of location and those mid to long-term demand drivers. So we've got Burleigh Heads at $1.6 million, but the rent has jumped up there with a median rent of $1,200 per week. It's had massive growth the last 12 months at 17%. And the other suburb on this sweet spot list is Palm Beach, sitting at $1.76 million with a median rent of $1,250 per week and growth of 3.8% over the last 12 months. Now, the interesting thing with both of these suburbs is they're more mid-Gold Coast in terms of the location. These are the hotspots. These are areas where families and owner-occupiers want to be. And if you want to be closer to the beach, you could pay $2, $3, $4 million. You're not going to be buying these medium prices, but these are more in the heart of these suburbs. So maybe 800 meters from the water. You'd have to catch a bike. You'd have to do a bike ride or catch public transport to get to the beach in a lot of these family-friendly areas, or more at least family-friendly prices at 1.6 to 1.8 million, but you could easily spend 2, 3, 4 million if you get closer to the water. The good thing about these locations is they are going to continue to have strong drivers for demand. Proximity to the water is scarce. And so say you are 500 or 800 meters from the beach and you're able to buy below that $2 million price point, you are buying scarcity. Now, getting around $1,200 to $1,300 a week for your $1.7 million property is not a great rental yield, but you should be buying based on the growth drivers with these types of deals, not based on the cash flow. Some people will look at Airbnb and higher active or income strategies, but that's not our focus today. We're just focusing on quality of area for that current purchase price and current market rental yield from a standard rental situation. Now we're moving into the prestige end. So this is $2, $3, $4 million plus. You can spend a lot of money on a lot of prestige suburbs in the Gold Coast. But one to consider in the near future, in my opinion, is Mermaid Beach, with a current median price of $3.38 million and median rent of $1,300 per week and growth of 5.8% over the last 12 months. The thing with Mermaid Beach is there are massive developments coming through and high-end homes. That median is getting swayed a lot by 7, 8, 10, $10 million sales. And so there are sales going through of multiples of millions of dollars, which will make that median price fluctuate significantly. Realistically, if you've got a budget between, say, 2 to 4 million, you can afford to buy in an area like Mermaid Beach. The more money you've got, the closer you can get to the beachfront. I know if you're buying beachfront on the Gold Coast, you can easily spend $6 to $10 million if you want beachfront property and you can get freestanding homes in those locations. But Mermaid Beach is worth looking at if you've got the coin and you can buy scarce land and you want to just bank it and park it in a quality location. Mermaid Beach is a place to consider. Now, to be perfectly honest, if I had $4 million or $3 million to spend, I'd probably look at picking up 2 good quality assets rather than one very high prestige property. But there are some strategies where people do pick up a prize or trophy property for $3, $4, $5, $6 million. They move into it for 12 months and then they rent elsewhere for up to 6 years, using the 6-year CGT rule to their advantage. Now, this is all legal and is part of the financial system. But what happens is if this property is worth $3, $4, $5 million, people are getting compounding growth on a higher quality asset, and it's capital gains tax free for up to 6 years. And so you do see this on the Gold Coast where people use the 6-year capital gains tax rule to their advantage, and they rent vest essentially after buying a blue chip property and living in it for 12 plus months. Now, if you're considering buying a property on the Gold Coast or anywhere in Southeast Queensland, myself and the team at Purpose Property can help you secure the right property for the right price in the right location. If you want to book in and have a chat with myself, head over to purposeproperty.com.au. Now, with the Gold Coast being in the top 10 largest markets here in Australia by population, and the Olympic Games on the horizon, plus the scarcity of the beachside locations, what are your thoughts on the Gold Coast market? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below, and make sure you give this video a click somewhere over here, because YouTube really thinks that's the one you should watch next. Thanks for sticking around. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.